Two families on either side of a marriage. Both share the same suspicion.
From that first day of going to the police officer, we share with him what we have. Me with all the infidelity and the plane ticket and things like that, and Rachel with the text messages and the plan to kill Christy and how it all played out exactly like his plan was. The investigator at that time, he says, well, I'd hate to arrest somebody who just lost his wife. And I'm just kind of like shocked.
So for 2 years, this case spun its wheels with no real progress being made. The police weren't moving. The police were pretty much stagnant.
After 2 frustrating years of investigations getting nowhere, Kathy takes matters into her own hands. She begins looking for a way to bring Jason to justice in the civil courts.
I was reaching out to as many people as I could and finding and learning and finding and learning. I do research too, and one of the things I ended up getting was wrongful death.
Wrongful death is a categorization of how a person has died. This can be pursued as a money claim with damages awarded against the person who has caused a death. Kathy spots an opportunity. They hire an attorney. He immediately validates the family's suspicions.
There are facts about this case that immediately would jump out to anyone familiar, for example, with how heroin is used, right? Like, if you know anything about the recreational use of heroin, then you know that it is never orally consumed. And that alone should be setting off all sorts of alarm bells if you're law enforcement, and for some reason it just didn't.
Which means that if anyone is to prove Jason Harris guilty of murdering Christy, it will have to be her own family.
As I expressed so many times to Kathy and James Mays, much to their frustration, is we only get one crack at this. So if we don't have all of this evidence that a jury now requires, do you really want to put us in a position where we rush this and you don't get justice for Christina?
The family attorney wants any evidence he can get to win the case.
If they wanted to know she didn't do drugs, it was like I have a whole freezer full of breast milk.
Christy's family has kept the milk first to feed the baby, and then as potential evidence if ever they could get her death reinvestigated.
If you're a defense attorney looking to poke holes in this case, you're going to try to insinuate that she's a drug user, right? Well, how often do you have months worth of physical evidence that can just destroy that fact?
With Alex's help, Kathy and Jim bring a private suit against Jason. At first, Jason doesn't take the threat seriously.
He was convinced that he had gotten away with it. The cops weren't going to touch it. And, he was like, oh, the police aren't even investigating this anymore. This is a closed case and he's fine.
Through the civil case, the family's legal team are now able to gather sworn depositions, including Jason's. It appears he has had access to drugs himself.
Have you used drugs?
Just prescribed.
What are you holding in your right hand, do you know?
A straw.
And what is that? There's a tray that's situated in front of you. What is the substance on the tray?
Methamphetamine.
And the bag that's in front of you that contains white powder, is that also methamphetamine?
Yes.
Having heard that Harris has access to drugs, the jury is now given the results of the test on Christy's breast milk. There is no trace of heroin.
It demonstrated that there couldn't possibly have been heroin in her body at the time.
The jury finds Jason Harris responsible for the unlawful death of his wife. He is ordered to pay $2 million to Christy's family.
It was a very high award for good reason. They knew that this was an intentional killing and that there was evidence, substantial evidence.
But it's a civil case, so he walks free. Armed with the civil court's findings, the original medical examiner amends the cause of Christy's death to pending investigation. And then he amends it again.
The deposition of the medical examiner was instrumental in changing the death certificate from accidental to homicide.